All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start my little spiel so we can hand it over to Salvo and get started. So thank you everyone for joining us for today's webinar. I do want to make mention that this is National Small Business Week, so we do have a session running every day this week. Tomorrow we will be doing writing a business plan here in person at our office if anyone is interested. I do recognize all of the names in our attendees today, so thank you to those of you for joining us. We appreciate it. Just a few quick things before I hand it over to Salvo. You are welcome to ask questions. You can just submit those via the chat box and we'll get them addressed. We will also share contact information for Salvo because I know some of you may have very specific questions or projects you want to discuss further and see if it's something that would work well with this program. So we'll make sure to get that to you as well. You'll also receive a follow-up email later this afternoon with a link to the recording and a PDF version of the presentation. So if you want to share it with a colleague, revisit it on your own or anything like that, you will have access to do that. And I will also include all of the links that are referenced in that follow-up email as well. So you can see the website, look at how to apply for a project and things like that. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Salvo, who is here from the university, and we can get started.
Thanks, Jordan. Really appreciate this. Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. A beautiful day outside in Champaign. We are really happy to be here to present some information about our office, and happy Small Business Week as well as the son or the grandson of a small business that was here in Champaign. I know the importance of small business, and we appreciate everything that you do and continue to do for our community. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what our office is for those that aren't familiar with the Magelli office, and some of the great things that we have going on, and some great resources that we have for small businesses like yours to really help you navigate some business challenges, maybe questions that you might have about things that are coming down the pipe with this ever-changing landscape that is the economy itself. So as Jordan had mentioned, please drop your questions into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them at the end of the presentation. It won't be a long presentation by any means, but I hope that you'll get some information out of this to be able to possibly have some great questions that will spark potential projects or potential conversations that we can have offline after our presentation. So I'll go ahead and get started. So our Magelli office is quite busy. We are working with our business students to give them an opportunity to get real world experience that isn't what would be considered the traditional internship. We work through this by doing consulting projects that are semester long for our students to really get a good grasp as far as what business is like, how the business operates in the real world, and really understand some of the things challenges that come up on an everyday basis when it comes to the work that you're doing in your businesses. I think that the best scenario I can explain or describe this as would be remembering your time, maybe looking over case studies in school or reading about specific case studies about a business, and there was a somewhat tailored solution, but it was a matter of finding that solution through reading the case study. We have taken those case studies out of the equation and actually replaced them with a real life happening in real time case study. These are business challenges that weren't written 6 years ago. They're business challenges that are experiencing right now in today's world. And I mentioned that because I feel like if a case study were to be written in today's environment, it would probably be out of date within 6 months, given how fast technology moves, given how fast solutions are created, and the disruption that happens a lot from varying perspectives or ideas that are coming through. That are almost thinking of solutions that may not have been considered before. So we take all of that and put it into the classroom. And you can see that we do about 300 projects a year. That is fall, that is summer, that is spring, happening all throughout the year for our students to get that real world experience. And they do this through project-based and group-based work. This is a great opportunity for the students to not do something that they're used to, everyone kind of writing their paper and copying and pasting their own sections in and then submitting the document. This is really an opportunity for the students to understand learning by doing, and that is doing the work, doing the research, and doing some of those things that would not be considered something in studies. It could be understanding team dynamics. It could be understanding how to navigate a challenge and break it down to a point to really understand what is the root cause so that you can have a better solution to do that. So they're putting in a lot of work throughout the semester on top of being full-time students. But you'll see that the student work per year, for the group is upwards of 200,000 hours that are being invested into this. And we're seeing clients come back semester after semester because of those experiences that they had and the recommendations that these students are able to provide to the businesses themselves. We've seen that these recommendations are really crucial for the business because as small business owners, you're everything to your business. You are the front line. You are the accountant in certain cases. You're the HR person. And a lot of times, as small business owners, you're working on putting out fires. And rather than spending time maybe digging into an opportunity for growth or something that you really want to accomplish because of distractions, because of just the everyday tasks that come with owning and operating a small business. That's where our students can come in. Our students can really kind of take one of those ideas and really run with it and go down the rabbit holes and see what kinds of things are coming from what are happening in industry right now and researching those trends so that they can come back at the end of their project and provide some data-driven recommendations to you to be able to narrow the options to maybe 2 or 3 options that could really have an impact on your business. And I think that really helps you in the long run with understanding what your next steps could be. As I mentioned before, it helps the students understand how you're navigating your business challenges in any size business. And the fact that if they have some sort of entrepreneur experience or spirit within them, this is a great way for them to kind of test that and see how they can be prepared for some of those scenarios that may be planned or, in many times, unplanned to navigate. Based on the student perspective, we see that a lot of these students, since this is part of the core curriculum now, that every Gies student here is taking this course, we do see a very, very high percentage of students are able to apply the context to, or the content that they learn, not just in this one class, but throughout their entire experience here at Gies to real world context. And we're seeing another high number of students that are able to have the ability to problem solve and be critical thinkers, again, to work on a team and to tell their story, especially as they tell those stories to recruiters that they're seeing on campus. Those are really the experiences that they need, that they want to share, and we help give them the tools to be able to share those kinds of experiences, which sets them apart from the field of other students or other people that are applying for other internships or their first career step after graduation. As a parent of a 6-year-old, I always joke that this is kind of that core memory from, I don't know if everyone's watched Inside Out, that this is that core memory that I feel like students really, really draw upon during the rest of their experience here at Gies, to really remember and have been able to use that as a way to light their own career and be able to build a network based on their experience of working in a group on this project. So some of the benefits that come from this are on both sides. On the client side, you're getting a group of students that are going to look at a problem that you may be experiencing with a real unbiased lens. And I think that really is a valuable piece because not only are they looking at it from that lens, but they may be able to be your future client at some point, given the generation that they are. So really understanding who your future client is going to be and understanding their perspective can really set you up for success when it comes to knowing how to navigate those challenges. Depending on your business or depending on your network, we are seeing that a lot of these businesses are leaning on the students even after they are completing this project that happens in the classroom. And sometimes it's almost developing a talent pipeline or maybe a larger network for the students to be able to keep in touch with their past clients. We see that it's happening more and more because of the types of organizations that we're partnering with and the partnership and the relationship that's built between these students and the clients that they work. And your experience running your own business and having that tremendous impact in community and in the larger economy is really valuable to prepare these students for being future business leaders and really gaining that experience from those people that have done this, like you, that are tried and true as far as being able to start their own business and go out and be successful in it. On the student perspective, as I mentioned before, they're gaining that real world experience, but in real time. And we want to make sure that they feel prepared when it comes to that. So, on top of understanding how your business operates, they're even developing and improving their own skills. Many times they're even identifying skills that they didn't even know that they had, or passions that they may not have been able to uncover until they go through a project like this, which can also lead to potential future career paths for them, so that they start to understand where their passions lie and really what excites them to get them out of bed in the morning and start their day fresh with their careers. And then, as I mentioned before, they have a better story to tell, not just recruiters, but anybody that they come across. It could be in networking circles, it could be with recruiters, it could be a second, third, fourth job interview, talking about what their experience was and how it's shaped them to be able to feel more confident, more successful, and be better prepared in the long run for their career as they start their journey. Now, our projects are, as I mentioned before, running over the course of fall, spring, and summer. Over the course of the fall and the spring semester long projects, you'll see that the projects last about 16 weeks roughly. Up until the first part of the semester, my role here at the Magelli office is to go out and make partnerships with various organizations that could be here locally. It could be with our large alumni base, and we're slowly toe dipping into an international space when it comes to finding projects. So I work with companies to understand what their business challenges are and how we can formulate the right kind of project based on what your current needs are. So we do that early on so that we can be prepared for presenting these projects into the classroom. We are roughly looking at about, for example, for the fall, sourcing about 140 projects just for our in-class experience. And that in-class experience, we really try to have a diverse group of projects where we can match them into the classroom to be able to give the students an opportunity to rank the projects based on what their interest level is. And we'll talk about a little about that later on in my presentation. As far as leading up to that, as I mentioned before, I help navigate the and formulating the project when it comes to working with businesses. And a really important step in this process is being able to submit your proposal, which is a very simple form. It's just, what is your business challenge? And ideally, what would you like to get out of this project that you feel could be a success? When we get that information, we will actually schedule a scoping call with you, which helps take that project bones and put some meat around it. And we have actually hired students that have taken this class in the past to do those scoping calls because they're intimately familiar with how the students operate, where the limitations are with these groups, and what would be a perfect type of formulated project to work with you and your organization while giving everybody a positive experience throughout this. Once those projects get formulated and put into place, we present them to the class. We do about 8 projects to every classroom. And again, as I mentioned before, that is where we try to diversify the types of projects. We don't want to try to put all of one industry in one classroom or one type of project in there. Because we allow our students to rank those 8 projects, to understand where where they want to benefit from this. A lot of times they'll pick projects or rank them high based on them being aligned with their current major. Maybe it's aligned with a passion that they have. Or my favorite, they want to really stretch themselves and try something new and push their comfort zone a little bit to see what they can learn from this experience. And we see a lot of those students gravitating towards that because they know that this is going to be a positive experience in the long run. Throughout the course of the semester, the students will meet weekly with their clients for about 30 to 60 minutes, we recommend. That just gives the students an opportunity to ask any questions, really get to know who their client is, and be able to make sure that they're understanding what the business challenge and other root causes that could come from that. Outside of those weekly meetings, we have a tremendous amount of resources here through our librarians, for example, that help the students not do the research, but show them how to use the tools so that they can do the research on their own. And I think that's really important. Instead of doing the research for them, we're really teaching them how to utilize those tools, because research is not something that ends after they graduate. It is something that's going to continue on through their entire professional lifetime and into their personal lifetime as well. And we want to make sure that they feel confident and can use those resources whenever it's important to them or necessary to use those. During that first half of the semester, there's a lot of playing, getting to know you. We're getting to know who the client is on the student side. The clients are getting to know the students. And the students are really trying to understand what this industry is and how the company fits in that larger piece. But once they get to a midpoint presentation, they share with their clients, here's all of the research we've done so far. Here's what we've learned. We're going to focus the second half of our semester and really diving deep into 2 or 3 recommendations that we feel are achievable for your business. So not only are they doing the first half to ask how, they're going to explain the why part of that in the second half of semester, which leads them to a final presentation, which allows them to really go over all of their recommendations, their analysis that they did, and really provide some data-driven recommendations that are going to have an impact on the business, not just guesses that they feel. That's really important, and it's been really interesting to see how these students can provide these recommendations that almost formulate a whole nother project. And that's where we see clients come back to us in the following semester to work with another student group because of the experience that they had. Now, as far as the growth of this program, I told you that we do this in the classroom, and you'll see that we're doing this majorly on the juniors who are taking Business 301. We felt that this was a really important part of their journey to be able to experience a real life project with a real life client. As they prepare for Business 301, we've created a larger, what we call O1 series, where Business 101, 201, 301, and 401 are dedicated to this experiential learning piece. We have 101 where they are learning the basics of maybe business language. What is a business? How do they operate? Business 201 is more of a simulation of, let's say you are a business and you reach these challenges. Let's talk about how businesses navigate those, and so that you can feel prepared once you get to 301 and working with a live client that's experiencing something in real time. And in 401, they're doing more of a passion project. They're working as an individual rather than with a group, but they're really working on that in a way for them to be able to extend their experience with either a specific client, a specific internship, or a combination of both. Since doing this in our undergrad series, we've expanded this to our master's programs. So we have been doing a master's of finance experiential learning. We've done a master's of management experiential learning, and we have a unique opportunity for clients to work with our master's of business analytics, which is a really deep dive into data analyses that are done and the tools that are used to identify trends, understand what data is saying, and the stories that can come out from, let's say, large data sets that we just don't know where to start with. In the summertime, we have a very unique opportunity where we have our Masters of Technology Management. And these are students that are coming to Gies, to the business school, that have gotten their undergrad in something a little more technical. They could be coming from engineering, they could be coming from information science, they could be coming from some sort of data analysis or somewhere else. And they want to couple their undergrad degree with a business master's degree. And we see a lot of these are students that are doing their residential master's program, but are actually international students that are staying here over the summer to complete this course. In today's climate, we've seen a lot of internships not being accessible to these kinds of students because of red tape and the fact that their status is as an international student, which can really limit the opportunities for internships or other experience-based opportunities, which is why we created this capstone course to be a backstop. If the students in the technology management course aren't able to secure an internship here in the United States, they can still get the same credit taking this course to get that experiential learning. And what we've done is exactly what I shared earlier, a lot of group work to identify solutions to a business challenge. We see about 20 to 25 projects every summer where the client is looking at something that is very tech heavy, for example, and how it's going to impact their business. For example, AI is a big hot topic button right now. How is AI going to impact my business? What can I do now to prepare for that? Maybe there's some sort of platform that you're looking to evaluate. That is where these students can really apply their technical experience into something that can be a lot more of a palatable solution for a small business like yours. One thing I wanted to share that I think is the most important is that there is no cost to the client to do these kinds of projects. We feel that this is a resource that the university can provide the community here locally, as well as or our alumni are. And this is more meant for building a network of individuals to lean on each other when it comes to either learning about what Gies has to offer, learning about what these students are or have the capability of doing, and how these students can support the local business and have them get to know what businesses are even in our local community or in the larger alumni network. So there's a lot of benefits that come from working with our students and doing these free projects. On top of that co-curricular piece that I was talking about, which we've defined as action learning, it actually was born from this Illinois business consulting firm that we have on campus. It's housed in our Magelli office and was a brainchild of Paul Magelli, who really wanted to take consulting and give it to make sure that was accessible for students as they prepared for a larger career in possibly their given field or maybe wanted to get into consulting. But we have, unfortunately, limitations when it comes to that. We only do about 25 projects a semester through Illinois Business Consulting. I'll probably reference it as IBC. This is not an in-class opportunity. This is actually extracurricular. So these are students that have a full class load that are taking this as an extra opportunity for them to get experience. And these are not just business students. This is actually a program that is open to all students on campus. We have about 1,000 students that apply every year to be in this program, and we are roughly under 20% acceptance rate. So we really have the best of the best when it comes to working with this Illinois Business Consulting. One thing that sets it apart from Action Learning are the types of deliverables that they do. There are incredibly more robust deliverables and more robust recommendations, and have an incredible resource of faculty, what we call executive mentors, that are individuals that come from industry to support the students and give them a taste of what's actually happening in the real world, which allows for, unfortunately, a fee for service. I only wanted to touch on that so you can see how Action Learning came to be, as we wanted to make sure that this was not something that could be available to all businesses. And so that's where the action learning piece, in my opinion, is something that small businesses could really benefit from in the long run and in partnership with our university. I'm going to skip that because, like I said, I want to focus on the action learning piece. But if I were to kind of group the types of projects that we do, I would say that they fall into really these four buckets. We have a strategy and growth project. We have a marketing strategy. We have a finance analysis, and we have a data and technology evaluation. We found that projects will fall into one of these four buckets or might fall into two of these buckets. And that's where we try to formulate the right kind of project. And this goes back to what I said before of making sure we diversify the types of projects that are in the classroom. So right now, I'm going to kind of give some examples of the types of projects that would fall under these buckets. With the strategy and growth, we're really looking at where the opportunity or the operational analysis is for maybe an internal project that you're working on. Maybe there's a business plan that you're looking to redevelop, or maybe there's a go-to-market strategy that you're looking to do. We see a lot of companies that gravitate towards these types of projects that are really trying to stretch themselves as well. What is the next market we need to go to? How can we be prepared for that? Or what are we doing right now that could allow us to expand our reach a little bit? And so we see a lot of businesses that will fall into that. And again, this is kind of very high level as far as what we do. But offline, I'm happy to have these conversations to see what challenges you're running into and how we can try to find the right kind of project for you as well. Under the marketing strategy, these are where we really focus on your customer. Who is our customer? How can we benchmark based on who our competitors are doing that are probably trying to reach out to those same potential consumers? Maybe there's a sales strategy that you're looking to really try to focus in on. And how do we launch that, develop that? And what other things should we be considering when it comes to the channels that we are going to execute our strategy into? A lot of times, this is really focused on getting in front of customers, and what it's not doing is cold calling or providing a list of clients to a business. Again, our students are not interns. This is more of acting as consultants so that they can provide recommendations to what your next step could be, so that they can get some experience in that way. But what they're going to provide, I think, would give you a better result to get a larger percentage of maybe clients based on a more targeted plan that could be implemented. As far as that financial analysis, we see that a lot of this could be an acquisition strategy, maybe some forecasting that's involved in planning for the future, or maybe a cost benefit analysis for something that you're considering. We see that there's a lot of that happening right now. And I think that forecasting those kinds of things, given what today's prices are experiencing with that roller coaster and the fluidity of that, it's really important to know where you're at right now and identifying what those costs are going to be and where the benefit is going to be. Maybe it's not a good idea to go into that. And that's where our students can really look at that, again, from that unbiased perspective and provide some recommendations on that based on where you're currently finding yourself. The final bucket, we see, technology and data being a large part of what we do. We're all collecting data in some way, shape, or form, or we're all using technology in some way, shape, or form. And I think this is where the students can really provide some of the perspectives that can help businesses like yours understand what is out there that you can maybe consider to use for platforms. Let's say it's a point of sale and you just don't know which one to pick. Let's have the students maybe look at it, understand who your business is, which platforms could best be utilized or implemented in your organization, and maybe provide some examples of some other organizations that are similar to yours in the same industry that are doing this. Where are the pitfalls? Where are the hurdles? What has been helpful? How to utilize something? I feel like many of us have some sort of platform that we have implemented in our organizations that we're only touching the tip of the iceberg on. There's so much more that is the capability of it, but where do we start? That's where our students, I feel, can really help dive in a little bit deeper into that. Now, as I mentioned before, we have our specific Masters of Technology Management, which is kicking off here in a few weeks. We've had an overwhelming response to the interest for this, so we are unfortunately have closed the acceptance for that. But I wanted to give you at least an overview that I probably touched on earlier on as far as what kinds of projects these are coming from. These projects really harness that technical background that they're coming to, and we see a lot of these students really being able to put forth their perspective on the fact that they have almost grown up with a lot of this technology. I'm going to say that as a mid 40-year-old. These students grew up in this and have been using it in an everyday sense. And I think that their perspective is really valuable because they're the ones that can really explain this in a unique way and almost in a way that can be translated to a business environment as well as a future client environment. So I wanted to share the screen just so you can kind of get an idea of how we're incorporating this into our curriculum and how these students are helping on the technical aspect of things, as that's becoming a large part of our conversation in any business opportunity. One thing that I did touch on earlier was our business analytics. Again, this is a 2-semester opportunity because there's so much work that goes into reviewing data. Looking at data analytic dashboards, understanding AI, looking at large data sets, doing any cleanup before you can even understand what you're looking at. There's a lot of stuff that happens with that. And so creating the right kinds of visuals, understanding large language models, all of that stuff that our students are incredibly talented in, we have really created this experiential learning opportunity for that deep dive. This is one of those programs where if you have a long runway to be able to work with our students, since it's a 2-semester process, I think this is a great opportunity for you to consider when it comes to evaluating those large data sets and really seeing what is this data telling us? What other data sets are out there that we can really look at and compare each other to see, are we on the right track? Are these trends exactly what we're looking at? Or is there a trend out there that we're not even realizing? That's where our students can really provide some value when it comes to these projects. As far as how our clients review this, we have a lot, 100% of our clients would come back. Many of them have a project, or many just don't know what their project is yet, but we do see them come back, and we see an overall satisfaction very, very highly ranked when it comes to this. And hearing what they have to say about our students is really an impactful, and I think speaks volumes to the experience that they've had. One of my favorite quotes that I hear from a lot of clients today is, I keep forgetting these are students because of the way that they present themselves, because of the way that they look at challenges from a different point of view, and being able to provide some valuable recommendations based on their analysis, I think allows these students to feel more confident about the fact that they're choosing a career path that's going to have an impact, and that they can see that their impact, especially in a small business, come to life and be implemented almost immediately based on some of the things that they're recommending. A lot of the things I've covered already as far as how the students are perceiving their own experience through this. One thing that I constantly hear from students is that they just don't know if a small business has the capacity to do a project throughout the semester. And I tell them that I'm going to prove you wrong. And it's not me proving them wrong, it's actually the client that proves them wrong. The client really connects with these students. And I hear at the end of the semester how the students are almost surprised that they were able to have the kind of experience that they had and never anticipated that kind of experience and positivity to come out of this. I think that they have these are students that came out of COVID, during high school. And so this is kind of their first time to kind of go out and do some of these things where we weren't limited in certain ways. But when they start getting this experience, when they start working with some of these businesses, even from nonprofits that they know, they can now see that business happens in things like nonprofits. And given my background, and I think some in this call will remember my time from working with United Way of Champaign County, they have business challenges too. They may just use different words, but this is a great opportunity for them to be able to apply those in that situation. One student worked with an organization, a nonprofit, and at the end of the semester, she came up to me and the professor and said, I never knew that in like a business like this existed. I never knew that this nonprofit had an impact like it did. And when I move back to Chicago for the summer, I'm going to find a way that I can volunteer for that nonprofit. I mean, that just warmed my heart to hear that. I mean, that showed that they had more than just a business impact. It had a personal impact on them as well. They were able to really benefit from this, and I feel like I'm going to use that analogy again. Having that orb of a core memory that they can draw on, and will have forever have that memory as they move forward in their career. As I mentioned out before, these students are coming out just better prepared. They are more confident. They have a better story to share. They have a stronger network built, not only from their group mates, but from the clients and the relationships that they've built with them as well. And you'll see that we have some really high marks based on the student outcome surveys that we share and get back. This is a testament not to the work that we're doing, but I feel like the partnership that comes from working with our students. Clients act, while they are clients, they're only 70% clients, in my opinion. They're still 30% teachers. And I think that what they can teach these students is part of the growth that these students experience at the end of the semester. So that's my presentation for today. I put some QR codes where you can learn more about our impact through our website. You can see an opportunity to submit your own project. But if you're really not sure where the next step lies, I really recommend that you schedule a call with me, because I could be happy to kind of share maybe some ways that we can be of help. And maybe there's an opportunity that you may not think could be a good project. But I think through some conversation, we can maybe find some ways to find some alignment on that. So I really encourage you to schedule a call with me, and we can find a time to chat. I'm happy to come to you, or I'm happy to do it virtually based on what your needs are. But I really appreciate your time, and thank you for listening to my presentation. And I think I'll turn it back to Jordan to answer any questions that may have come up in the chat. Again, thank you for everything, and appreciate all that you do here in our community as small businesses who are vastly important to our larger community and economy. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Salvo. We do have just a couple questions. The first one I think you touched on, but just so we get it here in the recording, it says, are nonprofits eligible to participate?
Yes, wholeheartedly, I say that. Nonprofits are definitely something that we want to have more experience for our students. And so we definitely recommend that to be considered. We try to have at least one nonprofit in every class of those 8 projects that we put to each class, because, as I said before, they experience business challenges as well. They may not use the same language as a profit. Every money is all the money that comes into a nonprofit is allocated. And many times it's understanding, how do we use that money effectively, or how do we work on internal operations effectively so that we can make sure that that dollar is stretched in an effective manner to our front lines or to our clients that we're serving. So yes, emphatic yes to nonprofits doing this.
Can we all tell Salvo has a nonprofit background?
I love nonprofits.
The next one says, can you submit more than one inquiry or one per business? I don't expect to be chosen more than once, just thinking that the students can pick the angle/project they find most interesting.
That's a great question. There's sometimes that's where I recommend maybe submitting 2 projects just to kind of see what direction is best to take on this. Now, I think I touched on this before. We have prior students that do the scoping calls, and so I really rely on their judgment to really say, that project might be a little too far beyond what our students are capable of doing. So maybe let's look at the other one. Or they might say, that project can probably be done in about 4 weeks. Let's expand on it. Let's see if there's another opportunity for us to do. So the more information we have, I feel like the better informed decision we can make when it comes to it. As far as doing multiple projects, I usually recommend only doing one a semester. That way you can commit your time to one group. Things can get a little murky when it comes to working with 2 different groups on 2 different projects. You may get some of your thoughts mixed up with who was working with who on that. So I really try to shy away from that if at all possible.
Thank you. That is all the questions we have right now, but we'll give it a second here. I also know we had some people jump on after I had given my little spiel, so I do want to share, you are going to get this recording. So if there's something you missed in the beginning, want to confirm a detail or anything like that, you will have access to do that. So, part of Illinois Innovation Network at Innovate Springfield. Are there opportunities to make Illinois and Silicon Valley smaller? Silicon, I like that.
I love that. I think that is a larger conversation to have.
Yes.
I see some potential, but I'd love to learn more about your organization and the network itself to really understand where those challenges are, and maybe we can come up with some ways to maybe meet the clients where they are. And again, our goal is to provide a positive experience for everybody when it comes to this. So let's chat online about that, offline about that. I'd love to learn more about that.
All right. And then actually probably a perfect one to go ahead and close out today's session is, when is the deadline to apply?
Yeah, so we, as I said before, we're starting to source projects for our fall semester. We have a tentative deadline of July 15th for providing, again, your kind of your bare bones, high level overview of what your project should be. That helps us, give us some time to schedule that scoping call, meet with you to learn more. We sign NDAs with all of our clients so that if there's any IP issues, it can stay confidential, and remind everyone that this is a teaching tool at the same time. So we want to make sure that we have all of those details ironed out before the semester starts. I've been learning that the semester does not creep up on you; it comes like a freight truck. So the more work we can do now, the better prepared we can be for the future.
All right, perfect. Well, like I said, I'll send that follow-up email out later today. It will include all the information today along with contact information, so you can reach out specifically if you have questions related to a potential project, confirming, eligibility for it and things like that. So I'll make sure to get that out to everyone today. But thank you so much to everyone who joined us, and thank you so much, Salvo, for coming and presenting on the topic. We really appreciate you taking your time.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate this and looking forward to chatting with you soon. And Jordan, thank you for everything you do for the community as well.
Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day.